MacVoices is supported by Smile, the makers of world-class software like Text Expander. Find out about all their great utilities at smilesoftware.com. MacVoices is in Chicago. For Macstock, I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, I got a chance to catch up with Joy Kuehl, who has not been at Macstock, I guess, for what, 1 or 2 years, Joy?
I missed 1 year. I missed last year.
Okay, you missed 1 year. And we are both heading off to another trip in a couple, I guess about a little over a week. But we're going to talk about Macstock first and then cover the rest. Joy, it's good to see you.
It is good. It's like I say, I missed last year, and it was such a homecoming. Somebody, was it Wally, described it as the family reunion, and it really, that was about what it was.
Yeah, well, and I think the year before that, we had dinner the night before at the speaker dinner. We sat at the same table, and then when I found out you weren't coming last year, I was like, oh, I was bummed. And this year, then, oh, Joey's back. That's great.
Yeah, family obligations got in the way. It was quite the year last year, but we're past that, and things settled down, and glad to be back.
Well, that's good. Well, now, I think one of the last times we talked on the show, you were like a bit of a nomad, running around crazy, doing WordPress things. Are you still into that?
Oh, I've been a little bit domesticated. Yes, the last time we talked, I was doing freelance WordPress development and going to conferences all over. And since then, I've actually taken a full-time job at a startup in Fargo, where I live, called CoSchedule. And they actually do have a WordPress plugin, so I'm still working with WordPress, sort of. Yeah, I'm doing customer support and technical writing for them at the moment. So I actually have to go into an office. It's kind of weird.
Nomad to weird. That is strange.
But the office suits me because we're all weird. So it's all good.
To all the people at CoSchedule. What is CoSchedule? What do they do?
It is a marketing platform, I suppose you would call it. It puts all your marketing efforts on a drag-and-drop calendar. So like I mentioned, we have a WordPress plugin. You can put your blog posts on there and schedule those, and then you can schedule the social messages attached to that blog post to help promote it at the same time. And you can, now we've added email integrations, and so anybody who's doing marketing, like a marketing agency, or even bloggers who just want to publish their posts and get the word out there, and the tagline is always get more mileage out of your posts, what you've already done. Because a lot of people will publish a post, send out a link on social media once, and then move on to the next post. Well, we've got a system that will kind of help those posts to kind of get recirculated through social media automatically. And so I use it for my podcast, and so the routine that I've settled on is we publish a podcast, we announce it immediately. We announce it the next day, we announce it the next week, we announce it the next month, and then we put it in this pool of messages that just get sent out kind of randomly when we're not doing anything else, because my podcast is extremely irregular in how it gets published because of travels and other things. So sometimes we have a long time between episodes, and then some of those old episodes get marketed on social media when we're not publishing new ones. So, and I don't have to think about it. So I'm on the road, and I sometimes it's kind of funny because I'm on the road and it automatically publishes something, and somebody responds to me on Twitter and says, "Oh, I really love that show," and I'm like, I got to look at my feed. What show did we just talk about? So
I want to get to the podcast too, but just stay with CoSchedule for just a minute. That's the first thing that it seems like anybody that's advising anybody on social media, especially for business, schedule your stuff. So is this like a calendaring system that just reminds you to schedule it, or does it you actually create the post, set it up, and then it fires it out at the pre-designated time?
Very much so. You schedule things. You can drag them around on your calendar to reschedule things, and yes, it will send out the messages automatically. One exception, Instagram likes to have things go out manually through their app. So we have a method where we send the information to the Instagram app. You don't have to recreate it, but you do get a notification on your phone saying, yeah, it's time to post that Instagram message. Here's the photo, here's the caption for it. Please open the Instagram app and send it out. So there is a way, if you have an Instagram business profile, Instagram recently released the ability to do that automatically through their API. We've been applying for their developer partner program that'll let us do that. But you know what? Facebook/Instagram has been a little busy lately and hasn't quite gotten to our application yet. So we're hoping to be able to do that automatically too. future.
Okay, when I misunderstood. I thought you meant the posts went just to your WordPress site. So this blasted out to various social media outlets?
Yep, you can publish when you're working with WordPress, and a lot of our users do. If you install the plugin on WordPress, you write your blog post, you do whatever you do normally in WordPress, and underneath that you'll see a meta box, and it's got a timeline where you can select again today, same day as publish, day after publish, week after publish, month after publish, and then custom dates. And then so you can connect social profiles to your account. So my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, where else do I have? Instagram sometimes. And I can connect those and say, when my post goes live, when we publish a blog post, as soon as that's published, then messages can go out automatically on social media. And then the same thing next day, automatically on social media, week after, automatically on social media, in whatever intervals I want. I often choose the defaults because they're pretty good, but you can set up any custom dates. You can choose to send the same message to every platform, or you can modify the messages for each, like Instagram likes pictures, so does Pinterest, so does Twitter, to be honest, so does Facebook. But Facebook can do videos pretty cool, so maybe you want to use a video there where you can't do that on Pinterest. So, so you can customize it based on the network too.
Oh, very interesting, very interesting. So it's a WordPress plugin. This was not supposed to be our CoSchedule, but that's the way it went. Do you have any idea what the pricing is, or how do they charge?
Yeah, it is a subscription-based service, and it's $49 a month for the Essential plan, which is our lowest price plan. When you pay month to month, you can get a 50% discount off of that if you write a review of CoSchedule on your blog and say, this is how we're using it, this is how it's helped me save time, basically market. But it's a 50% discount off of that. And then, of course, we have referral links that can help you reduce that price even further. And we have plans on up to enterprise level, what is it, $1,800 a month or something, and beyond, depending on what you've got. So, yeah, we go both to individuals and up to enterprise.
This is what happens at Macstock, folks. Not only do you get things on the presentations that cost you money and make you more productive, but you get them out here, just having conversations with friends. So now I got something else to check out, Julie.
Yeah. Well, there is a free 14-day trial, and so you can check it out and, see how it works and see how it connects up with your accounts and if it's working for you. And then, of course, if it is, we encourage you to subscribe. So there you go.
Okay, so podcast.
Yes.
Let's talk about your podcast because you said it's published irregularly, but that doesn't reduce the quality of it at all.
Well, I don't know. The last couple ones, apparently, the quality did get reduced. We had some audio issues I wasn't aware of until somebody told me about them. So we've been changing up our workflow and thought we had found a better one, but not. But we it's a science fiction podcast, and we talk about TV shows, movies, books, and irregular. It's a lot of times was tied to my schedule or my co-host's schedule, so it's kind of like when we can find time where all three of us can get together to talk about the thing that we said we were going to watch, but maybe have watched half of, and. Yeah, anyway, so scheduling issues we have some pretty serious scheduling issues because I work an actual, now 8 to 5 job, and both my other co-hosts don't. So they're on shift schedules where they sleep during the day and they're up at night, and and then they travel, and so it's challenging. But we publish every time we get a chance, and really enjoy it. Matter of fact, our take on it is that, if nobody listened, we'd still get together and talk about this stuff ourselves. So we're all good, yeah.
Well, it's intriguing because you bounce all over the place. I mean, not current, not new. You were all over the place.
And that's what's the fun thing about doing a podcast like that is because I have watched things I would never have watched otherwise. And people have suggested things to us that I'd never heard of before. And still to this day, my favorite show that we've ever done is a movie called Europa Report, which I'd never heard of, had no expectations of, and was completely blown away by. One of our listeners suggested it to us, and it was like, this is the best thing I've seen in decades. So that's one of the joys of having the podcast and listeners that give you suggestions and tell you when your audio is bad and kind of keep the discussion going about some of the topics that when science fiction has a great way of kind of doing social commentary without doing social commentary. It's kind of this backhanded way of doing it. And occasionally we'll get into some discussions about, what does that mean? And how come that's sounding so familiar to like current events? And how did it play out in the sci-fi? So some of those discussions get going offline too.
Okay, so now I have something to watch on the plane. You wrote a report. Good.
Yeah,
Gotta go look it up.
I recommend that one. We were talking about that last night in the hotel. Is my 3 favorite shows that I've come across in sci-fi and for the podcast are Europa Report's number 1, Gravity is number 2, Arrival is number 3. And books are a whole nother genre. I could go that, whole long list over there.
So the podcast will go on forever and ever, just catching up.
Yeah. We have a list. We have an ongoing list of like 50 things that we've wanted to talk about. And every time we do a new episode, we never take from that list of 50 things. Somebody suggests something different that we hadn't heard of, and it's like, oh, that's so good. We should do that. So our original list of 50 things we were going to do is still there that we haven't made any progress on.
Not a bad problem, because that's something that I think all of us as content producers struggle with is, okay, what am I going to do next week, next month, whatever. And so if you've always got that cache back there of 50 that you haven't even touched yet, that's great.
Yeah, you're right. It is unusual, because I remember when we first started, it's like, well, we'll talk about this and that. And I've done other podcasts as well, and it's about like 26, 30 episodes in, and you're like, I don't know what we've got that isn't going to circle back on things we've already talked about. But yeah, I think we're getting close to episode 200. And so, yeah, we're not going to run short anytime soon.
That's great. Okay, so last thing, you and I, since you named 3 of your favorites, you didn't name the one that we're both going to go and immerse ourselves in about 10 days, and that's Star Trek Las Vegas.
It's funny, because if anybody listens to the podcast, they will always hear me say that everything goes back to Star Trek. It's kind of like the archetype that managed to get in every, storyline or alien or technology or science or whatever. So like when you talk about gravity, it's like, oh yeah, it's that episode in Star Trek, and whatever. So everything goes back to Star Trek. But yeah, I have not attended a Star Trek convention ever anywhere, which is kind of a shame, which is why we're going. And but at one time, boy, back when, I'm not even sure I met you at that point. That might have been before I knew you, but I knew some of the other people at Macstock here that went to Las Vegas at the, what they call it, New Media Expo?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Were you at that one?
I was there, but you're right. I don't think we'd met at that point.
Yeah, that was 2008. It was right before. I did not know there was the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas. And because of the New Media Expo, I got to go through the Star Trek experience like 2 weeks before they tore it down. At which point, I went back a year later to the New Media Expo because they closed it because, that space could be used for better purposes to make more money. And a year later, it was still closed down and not being used. And just kind of stood at the gateway and bawled because that was the most incredible place. So I'm hoping the Star Trek convention brings back just a touch of what the Star Trek experience had. And I do remember sitting in Quark's bar and having Klingons go through and, raise a ruckus and whatever, and I'm like, if they're going to do that, I'm going to sit at Quark's bar at the Star Trek convention for 2 days. I'm good. So.
I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a lot of fun. Like you, I had never been to a Star Trek convention. I've been a fan, all my life, but had never gone to any convention. And then when Ken Ray and John Champion started Mission Log, it's like, okay, now I've got a reason to go. At least I'll know 2 people, if nothing else. And it was completely not what I expected. Completely fun, and now I'm hooked. I want to go back every year.
That's what I'm afraid of. The last thing I need is one more thing that I have to go back to every year. But what's interesting, too, is that in the past, Star Trek has always bumped up against Sturgis, a motorcycle rally. And this year, they're not quite overlapping. I don't know that I'm going to Sturgis anyway because of the job, but it was the first time it was like clear conscience of like, yeah, I don't have to make a choice between those two. I can just go to Star Trek because I want to go to Star Trek. So, yeah. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be an experience, I suspect.
Absolutely. Well, I will see you there.
Yay. We'll have a good time. Like you said, now I know 3 people who are going to be at the Star Trek convention.
You'll make friends fast, just like Macstock. All you have to do is just start talking Star Trek and you're good.
Yeah, I'm totally outclassed when it comes to some of those fans. I don't have episodes at the top of my tongue, and it just... some of the level of fandom that I know I'm going to encounter there is just mind-boggling. I am in nothing but awe of those people and totally will bow at their feet because I am not one of them. I remember vague concepts of Star Trek episodes, but to ask me, like, how did it play out? What was the name of the episode? What season was it? I'm like,
And we don't have any of that kind of fandom in the Apple community.
No, I didn't hear any of that this weekend.
No, not a bit.
There was not an argument about the price of what even was an Apple II. There was the $24.95 versus $25.99 debate yesterday in the quiz show.
Oh, I don't think I was in there for that.
Oh, it was there. Bob Levitas was convinced that he had paid $24.95 for, I don't remember which model. I should, Apple II, Mac Plus, I don't remember. But he was convinced he had paid $24.95, and it was one of the quiz show questions, and the answer was $25.99, and he was vehement that he was wrong. So he looked it up on Wikipedia. No, Wikipedia said $25.99. Wikipedia is wrong. So yeah, so we'll have to see where that winds up. But
yeah, and I was in there for the argument over what was the name of the dog cow. That was good too. So, social media presences. I want to make sure you get to plug the podcast as well.
Yeah, I can be found on Twitter. That's the quickest way to find me. Actually, is at Julie Kuehl, JuliekuEhl, and the podcast is Sci-Fi Tech Talk. So SciFiTechTalk podcast on Twitter as well.
Perfect. So we're in Chicago. I'll see you in Las Vegas.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Folks, we'll have more from Macstock in Chicago. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our MacVoices Facebook group and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MacVoices and join these folks who help keep MacVoices coming to you. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.